The book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 9 through chapter 7, verse 24. These are the descendants of Noah. Noah, a good man and blameless in that age, for he walked with God, begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. In the eyes of God, the earth was corrupt and full of lawlessness. When God saw how corrupt the earth had become, since all mortals led depraved lives on earth, he said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to all mortals on earth. The earth is full of lawlessness because of them. So I will destroy them and all life on earth. Preparation for the flood. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Put various compartments in it, and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you shall build it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make an opening for daylight in the ark, and finish the ark a cubit above it. Put an entrance in the side of the ark, which you shall make with bottom, second, and third decks. I, on my part, am about to bring the flood, waters, on the earth, to destroy everywhere all creatures in which there is the breath of life. Everything on earth shall perish, but with you I will establish my covenant. You and your sons, your wife and your sons' wives, shall go into the ark. Of all other living creatures you shall bring 2 into the ark, 1 male and 1 female, that you may keep them alive with you. Of all kinds of birds, of all kinds of beasts, and of all kinds of creeping things, 2 of each shall come into the ark with you to stay alive. Moreover, you are to provide yourself with all the food that is to be eaten and store it away, that it may serve as provisions for you and for them. This Noah did. He carried out all the commands that God gave him. Chapter 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and all your household, for you alone in this age have I found to be truly just. Of every clean animal take with you 7 pairs, a male and its mate, and of the unclean animals 1 pair, a male and its mate. Likewise of every clean bird of the air 7 pairs, a male and a female, and of all the unclean birds 1 pair, a male and a female. Thus you will keep the issue alive over all the earth. 7 days from now I will bring rain down on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and so I will wipe out from the surface of the earth every moving creature that I have made. Noah did just as the Lord had commanded him. The Great Flood. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came upon the earth. Together with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, Noah went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the clean animals and the unclean, of the birds, and of everything that creeps on the ground, 2 by 2, male and female, entered the ark with Noah, just as the Lord had commanded him. As soon as the 7 days were over, the waters of the flood came upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, it was on that day that all the fountains of the great abyss burst forth, and the floodgates of the sky were opened. For 40 days and 40 nights heavy rain poured down upon the earth. On the precise day named, Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of Noah's sons had entered the ark, together with every kind of wild beast, every kind of domestic animal, every kind of creeping thing of the earth, and every kind of bird. Pairs of all creatures in which there was the breath of life entered the ark with Noah. Those that entered were male and female, and of all species they came, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. The flood continued upon the earth for 40 days. As the waters increased, they lifted the ark so that it rose above the earth. The swelling waters increased greatly, but the ark floated on the surface of the waters. Higher and higher above the earth rose the waters, until all the highest mountains everywhere were submerged, the crest rising 15 cubits higher than the submerged mountains. All creatures that stirred on earth perished, birds, cattle, wild animals, and all that swarmed on the earth, as well as mankind. Everything on dry land with the faintest breath of life in its nostrils died out. The Lord wiped out every living thing on earth, man and cattle, the creeping things and the birds of the air, all were wiped out from the earth. Only Noah and those with him on the ark were left. Psalm 6, Prayer in Distress. For the leader with stringed instruments upon the eighth, a psalm of David. Do not reprove me in your anger, Lord, nor punish me in your wrath. Have pity on me, Lord, for I am weak. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are trembling. In utter terror is my soul. And you, Lord, how long? Turn, Lord, save my life. In your mercy, rescue me. For who among the dead remembers you? Who praises you in Sheol? I am wearied with sighing. All night long tears drench my bed. My couch is soaked with weeping. My eyes are dimmed with sorrow, worn out because of all my foes. Away from me, all who do evil. The Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my prayer. The Lord takes up my plea. My foes will be terrified and disgraced, and will fall back in sudden shame. Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 20. The Sermon on the Mount. When he saw the crowds, he went up to the mountain, and after he had sat down, his disciples came to him. He began to teach them, saying, The Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Thus they persecuted the prophets who were before you. The smiles and salt and light. You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its taste, with what can it be seasoned? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and then put it under a bushel basket. It is set on a lampstand where it gives light to all the house. Just so your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father. Teaching about the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. Amen, I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or the smallest part of a letter will pass from the law, until all things have taken place. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever obeys and teaches these commandments will be called greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I tell you, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraphs 31 through 38. Ways of coming to know God. Created in God's image and called to know and love Him, the person who seeks God discovers certain ways of coming to know Him. These are also called proofs for the existence of God, not in the sense of proofs in the natural sciences, but rather in the sense of converging and convincing arguments, which allow us to attain certainty about the truth. These ways of approaching God from creation have a twofold point of departure: the physical world and the human person. The world, starting from movement, becoming contingency, and the world's order and beauty, one can come to a knowledge of God as the origin and the end of the universe. As St. Paul says of the Gentiles, for what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. Ever since the creation of the world, His invisible nature, namely His eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made. And St. Augustine issues this challenge. Question the beauty of the earth. Question the beauty of the sea. Question the beauty of the air distending and diffusing itself. Question the beauty of the sky. Question all these realities. All respond, see, we are beautiful. Their beauty is a profession, a confession. These beauties are subject to change. Who made them if not the beautiful one? Who is not subject to change? The human person. With this openness to truth and beauty, his sense of mortal goodness, his freedom and the voice of his conscience, with his longings for the infinite and for happiness, man questions himself about God's existence. In all this, he discerns signs of his spiritual soul. The soul, the seed of eternity, we bear in ourselves, irreducible to the merely material, can have its origin in God. The world and man attest that they contain within themselves neither their first principle nor their final end, but rather that they participate in being itself, which alone is without origin or end. Thus, in different ways, men can come to know that there exists a reality which is the first cause and the final end of all things, a reality that everyone calls God. Man's faculties make him capable of coming to a knowledge of the existence of a personal God. But for man to be able to enter into real intimacy with him, God willed both to reveal himself to man and to give him the grace of being able to welcome his revelation in faith. The proofs of God's existence, however, can predispose one to faith and help one to see that faith is not opposed to reason. The knowledge of God according to the Church. Our Holy Mother, the Church, holds and teaches that God, the first principle and the last end of all things, can be known with certainty from the created world by the natural light of human reason. Without this capacity, man would not be able to welcome God's revelation. Man has this capacity because he is created in the image of God. In the historical conditions in which he finds himself, however, man experiences many difficulties in coming to know God by the light of reason alone. Though human reason is, strictly speaking, truly capable by its own natural power and light of attaining to a true and certain knowledge of the one personal God, who watches over and controls the world by his providence, and of the natural law written in our hearts by the Creator. Yet there are many obstacles which prevent reason from the effective and fruitful use of this inborn faculty. For the truths that concern the relations between God and man wholly transcend the visible order of things, and if they are translated into human action and influence it, they call for self-surrender and abnegation. To the human mind, in its turn, is hampered in the attaining of such truths, not only by the impact of the senses and the imagination, but also by disordered appetites, which are the consequences of original sin. So it happens that men in such matters easily persuade themselves that what they would not like to be true is false, or at least doubtful. This is why man stands in need of being enlightened by God's revelation, not only about those things that exceed his understanding, but also about those religious and mortal truths which of themselves are not beyond the grasp of human reason, so that even in the present condition of the human race, they can be known by all men with ease, with firm certainty, and with no admixture of error.